This is Tonight Live.
Good Friday evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Amanda Barron. We begin with Governor Patrick Morrisey on this Friday evening, fresh off what he and his team are calling a victory in Raleigh County after that injunction was issued, a preliminary injunction by the judge in Raleigh County. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You know, it's good to be with you. I was thinking this is the first time I've actually been in studio since being governor, so it's nice to spend time with you.
Thank you. You too. We're glad that you're here all across the state of West Virginia. Let's begin with that preliminary injunction when it comes to vaccinations.
Sure.
Right now, your executive order says that there is a religious exemption for students to go to school. The state school board says that is not the law. This judge says this child can go to school until things are sorted out. This case is going to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's likely to go to the Supreme Court, and I think I was reassured with what the judge said because it backed up what we've been saying since January. A lot of people may not have appreciated, but a couple years ago, there was a separate religious freedom law that the legislature passed. So a lot of people are prone to only citing the mandatory vaccinations, but the legislature was very clear that every time you look at a provision of code, you have to look to try to provide religious opportunity, religious liberties to citizens. And that's what we're trying to do. So the only thing about the executive order, it's interpreting two laws and harmonizing them. And that's why I think the court said that they agreed with us. No one wants to have families discriminated against because of religious beliefs.
And so you are confident in your argument that the religious exemption is backed up by that portion of state code, even though exemptions are not in the state code when it comes to vaccinations.
Well, yes, and in fact, I think that's why we won in court yesterday, and we feel very good about it because the way the religious freedom law is structured, it says notwithstanding any of the other laws on the books, you're compelled to provide religious liberty to people. And so I think that this is a position that's backed up by case law precedent, and it's getting more and more strength. So I like the position we're in. It's the right position. The other point I would make is that a lot of people that make the public health argument, the reality is that providing these narrow array of religious exemptions will do nothing to affect herd immunity. We've looked closely at that, so there's no public health argument, no meaningful public health argument against this.
I want to give you a little time. You and the school board are very much at odds on this. It's getting a bit contentious. I just wonder if that's going to deflect from education in the future.
I think that it's just important that I think they're overreaching in a pretty significant manner. They're an unaccountable board right now, and I think we have to make sure that the law gets implemented the right way. I think it was really overreaching for them to change their position. Keep in mind, at the beginning of the year, we worked with them, we implemented the policy, and then I guess due to a lot of political pressure, they flipped. Well, our policies remain the same from the very beginning, and we just want to protect these families that have deeply held religious beliefs, to give them the opportunity to go to school. There's no reason why they shouldn't. I think everyone watching should also know West Virginia is one of only 5 states in the nation that doesn't have a statutory exemption for religious freedom. That's important. So the good news, though, is we did have the religious freedom law. That's what allows this to happen. I think it requires it to happen.
Let's shift gears big time. The Big Blue Bridge in Charleston is the most heavily traveled bridge in the state of West Virginia. It is an absolute mess. It is wreaking havoc on people's cars, people's lives as far as time is concerned. It's a problem you say you inherited because of the massive holes that are on the bridge. What can you do money-wise to fix it? Will you use surplus money to fix it?
So a couple things. One, I think a month ago, everyone knew that I talked about that when we got in. The feds and a lot of people were talking about the failing nature of the bridges here in West Virginia. So we've prioritized focus on bridges. We've prioritized the secondary roads. That's different, right? So I think that has our complete attention. The most important thing we need to do is protect the safety and the traffic experience of people as we're beginning to get the bids out. But obviously, it takes a while. It can take a year to get a lot of these bids out and going. So in the meantime, we have to make sure that you're patching it the right way, you're doing the right thing. But absolutely, look, we spent $100 million out of surplus. That's going to be spent right now. There'll be other opportunities to make sure we're addressing roads and bridges. It does take a little bit of time. You can't turn it on day one.
2027 is a far time away, though, and if we keep putting Band-Aids on this bridge, is it even worth it financially to keep doing that?
Look, I think that there were a lot of bridges that were in massive states of disrepair, right? If you get an F and you're considered to have some of the worst bridges, that's what we inherited.
Sure.
So finally, we have a plan to address that. And I think it's very positive because we want to have better roads, safe bridges. I think that's critical. That's why we're putting the time in. I was very pleased to sign into law that $100 million that went into additional secondary roads. There are going to be more opportunities to make sure that people don't get preyed or harmed by the potholes.
You think about those potholes, and it's more than just traffic frustration.
Yeah.
This is interstate commerce. These are major truckers that are coming through. You don't want people to be frustrated driving through West Virginia every time.
No, I think there's going to be an opportunity to do that, and we're going to continue to work hard to try to address that. And I would just ask the people of the state, I recognize we did inherit a lot of these challenges. A lot of the whole Roads to Prosperity money was spent. I think people know that. So now we're developing new plans. Some of what we're doing is really incredible because we're building out public-private partnerships. What we did up in Morgantown, where the county stepped up and the private sector stepped up, that was really positive. So I think we're going to be turning the corner and doing some incredible things. I'm optimistic, but we have to take some time to turn this around.
30 seconds left. We have 3 men who want to be the leader of the West Virginia GOP. They will meet in Morgantown this weekend to select a new leader.
Yeah.
Are you backing any of those candidates?
I've been talking with the different candidates, and I want to make sure we have someone who's going to represent our Republican platform and conservative principles, someone who has great respect for President Trump, and someone I can work closely with as the chief executive of the state. I think that's critical. So I've been having a chance to talk to them, and we reserve the right to get in the middle of it. But so far, it's been the conversations just to better get to know these folks.
All right, we'll see what happens this weekend. Governor Patrick Morrisey, thanks for stopping in on a Friday.
Good to see you.
Thank you. You too. We're back in just a minute. You're watching Tonight Live. Thank you.
All right.
Your time.
Thank you.